Up next is SMU and head coach Sonny Dykes. The Mustangs are 5-0 overall, 1-0 in the American Athletic Conference. They were in action this past Saturday at USF. SMU won the game 48-21. Up next, SMU returns to Dallas on Saturday. They'll be facing Tulsa at Gerald J. Ford Stadium, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central on ESPNU. And as we mentioned at the top of the call, Shane Buechele from SMU is the Americans' Offensive Player of the Week. Coach, thanks so much for joining us on the call. Just get your thoughts on the win at USF, please, and what you expect to see as you come back home on Saturday to face Tulsa.
Yeah, thanks. It was, it was good to get a win, especially on the road. It's really difficult to win on the road in our conference. There's just a lot of tough environments, and coming off of kind of an emotional game the week before, I was a little concerned about how our guys would handle it, but I was really proud of the week of practice they had, and I thought they were focused, and we got off to a fast start, and it was exactly what we needed. And just kind of got a little sloppy at times in the second half, but we have a lot of young players that played in the game, and when those guys get opportunities, they have to play better than they did. But it's good to get them in and good to have a chance to develop a lot of players, and it was a good reward for them to get a chance to play in the game. And Tulsa's a big challenge this week. I mean, they were a team last year. We went to play them for bowl eligibility last year, and they just, beat up on us and physically just kind of dominated the game really on both lines of scrimmage and knocked us around. And, they did a really good job of getting their team ready to play last year. We were playing for bowl eligibility, and their guys played harder than we did, and their coaching staff did a better job getting their guys ready than we did. And so, it's a big challenge for us this year to kind of get our guys back up and try to, play well against a team that really presents a lot of problems. I mean, you look at Tulsa, they're a very, very big team, probably the biggest team we've played all year. They just recruit a lot of really big people. They're long. They present some problems with some of the schemes that they run. And so, we're going to need to have a good week of practice and get ready to play.
We'll take questions for Coach Sonny Dykes, please. Star 1 on your telephone keypad will put you in the queue, and then the operator will introduce you.
Our first caller comes from Stephen Hawkins of Associated Press. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Sonny. You've talked about, obviously, all the new players you've got, including the transfers. I guess what I want to ask is, with guys like Shane and Richard McBride, guys that have been in programs that have been ranked, how much can you lean on those kind of guys to say, hey, guys, being a ranked team doesn't make a lot of difference, but what to expect with that?
Yeah, I think the good thing about our message has really been it's kind of been the same all year. It's just been, let's just take this one game at a time. The very first meeting we had, when we got our team together, we felt like we would have enough talent to have a chance to win every game we played, assuming, we could make all the pieces fit together. And so our mantra's really been the very same since the beginning. Let's just try to get better today. Let's don't worry about, anything anybody said about us in the preseason, because, we weren't picked to have a good team at all in the preseason. I think we were, maybe picked 8th or 9th in our conference. And so, and I just told them, hey, look, ignore that. And now that, we've had a level of success and now people are talking about how good we can be, we have to ignore that as well and just worry about the things that we can control, which is just going out and really preparing the right way to go play every Saturday. It's different when you have a target on your back a little bit. People are going to try to, you're just going to see a lot more things, and teams are going to be more excited to play you than they might normally be. And so, all this will be a little bit challenging for our players, but they've really shown a lot of maturity so far. And so I think having some experience from those guys being at big-time programs helps to a degree. But I think at the end of the day, our message has been pretty consistent since the very beginning.
And just follow up on that. You made it clear after the TCU win, you made it clear that, the importance and the significance to the fan base of what's happening with the rankings and the attention and all that. With that said, what kind of atmosphere do you kind of anticipate this Saturday when you guys play a home game as a ranked team for the first time since the 1980s?
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, I hope it's good. I think we've got a good, loyal fan base. I mean, I know this. They've been loyal for a long time, and there's been some rough seasons around here through the years. There's also been some good ones. I think June Jones really had the place rolling for a while, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time to engage your fan base, and it just does. I mean, you've got to, winning helps, but you got to win consistently. And I think sometimes it may be a little slower process than people want it to be. But as I said, we got loyal fans, and I'm hoping they'll show up Saturday. I think they will. And, and we'll continue to play well. I mean, the thing we got to worry about is ourselves and not get too caught up in all that other stuff.
All right. Thanks, Sonny.
Okay. Thank you.
Our next question comes from Bill Bender of Sporting News. Please go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Sonny. How has beating a few fellow Texas schools kind of helped with the confidence with this team this season? Did that kind of create a little more confidence within the locker room?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we kind of have a unique situation here where we do, we schedule a lot of Texas teams, and it makes sense for us to do that. We've got, 2 teams here in the Metroplex that we're going to play pretty much every year. And so, having success against those teams helps us. Our players know a lot of their players. I mean, there's a bond, that those guys have, going back to, in some cases, like, Little League football teams, and guys have known each other for a long time and have competed with each other and against each other for a number of years. And so, when you can win those games instead of losing, we lost both of them last year and we won both of them this year. And that certainly helps us. We played Texas State as well, and a lot of our guys knew the guys on that team as well. We're going to play Tulsa this week. Tulsa, I think, has 16 starters from Texas. So we're basically playing another team from Texas in a lot of ways this week. And so, these guys have known each other and competed against each other for a long time. And when you can win those games, it certainly helps your confidence.
And I know you've kind of already been asked this, but given the history at SMU with the Pony Express, the death penalty, I mean, some coaches might say, the rankings don't matter, but in some ways, does being ranked mean a little bit more this week, knowing what the school's been through? Yeah.
I mean, I think so. I mean, look, at the end of the day, once the ball snapped and the football game starts, none of the stuff matters. But certainly it matters, for our fan base, and it matters. There's been a lot of people that have invested a lot of time, effort, money into our program for a number of years, and it's good for them to get a return on their investment. It just is. And so, I think it's a big deal. It's been 33 years. That's a long time between rankings. But as I said, as soon as that ball snapped, all that stuff goes out the window from our standpoint, but certainly from our fan standpoint, our supporters standpoint, it makes a difference. The one thing I think that's important to note here is that, I think as they've hired coaches here through the years, I think every single coach that's been here, there's been a number of them through the years since the death penalty, have left the program in better shape than they found it. And we're the benefactors of that. You know what I mean? I think you go all the way back, and every single coach has improved the program and has made it better. So it's been a much easier job for me, I think, than it has been for some of the guys that have been here in the past.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Our next question comes from Sam Bloom of the Dallas Morning News. Please go ahead.
Sonny, we were talking to Richard McBride after the game, and he was talking about how he reached out to like 30 schools, after he left Auburn, after he graduated, and no one was really willing to take a chance on him. I know that obviously the connection with Rhett helps, but how did you guys find him? I know that maybe there was a need at linebacker, but why kind of take this chance on him, and how has it kind of paid off?
Yeah, I mean, I think Johnny Brewer, who was a QC for us, Johnny, I think, had been in contact with him and had talked to him a little bit. And I think Richard reached out to Johnny when he got in the portal. And, for us, it was a position of need. We had just had, Richard Moore was a really, really good player for us, but he's had some injury issues in the past. And we just felt like that, that Richard McBride was a long athletic guy that had a level of success, had played significantly in the SEC championship game a couple of years prior. So he had some big game experience physically. He's obviously an impressive guy. I think the thing that made it maybe different for us was our coaches knew him and had a relationship with him. Both Rhett and Johnny did. And they both had great things to say about his character and his work ethic. And as we've taken on transfers, that's been the most important thing, is just making sure that we're taking on high character kids and kids that love to play football and will fit into our culture.
And lastly, Will Brown was out the other day. Do you think he'll be back? And if not, what's kind of your plan for the backup quarterback?
Yeah, we're just trying to get Will back healthy as quickly as we can. We'll kind of see. We'll know a little bit more as the week progresses where he is and kind of what our situation is going to be. But we feel good about Terrence. I mean, Terrence, had an opportunity to get in the game and play, and played pretty well. Converted a couple of third downs by running the ball. He's going to get more reps in practice if Will's not back, and so it'll help him develop, and whoever's healthy back there and whoever's getting the reps and playing at the highest level will end up being our backup.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We can take one more for Coach Sonny Dykes, please.
Our next question comes from Billy Embody of 247 Sports.
Hey, Sonny, I knew in the offseason you guys had turnover with Randall taking over the defensive line and then AJ coming in as the offensive line coach. You guys have only allowed, I think, 4 sacks through 4 games or 5 games, however many sacks. What have you guys seen from AJ and then Randall now that the season's been season's been going on, and can you guys have imagined kind of the success both sides have been having?
Yeah, I think obviously we had a situation with Jamal Powell and Jamal getting sick and is our offensive line coach, and Jamal's working as a QC for us and doing a fantastic job kind of assisting AJ as he gets his health back. But I think AJ's had made a huge difference for us. I mean, he's a tough-minded, hard-nosed offensive line coach. He has a great relationship with his players. We felt like we needed to become more physical as a unit up front, and I think that group is starting to take on AJ's personality. He's just kind of a no-nonsense guy, and I think that group is playing that way. They've just gotten better. They're playing tougher and more physical than they have in the past. They're playing with lower pads. And then obviously Shane's a big part of not giving up a lot of sacks. He just does a great job getting the ball out of his hand and not taking sacks and not trying to do too much. I think that's one of the things quarterbacks try to do sometimes is just, make plays when the best thing to do is get that play over with and get on to the next one. And Shane's done a fantastic job of doing that. Randall, we had a coach that left in late July, which is a little bit unusual, and I just felt like Randall could handle that group. I think he's got the assistance of Blake Brockermeyer as a QC for us, and Blake's really done a great job. A fantastic job of helping Randall. He's got a graduate assistant, Steph McClure, who played for me at Cal, who is a really outstanding young coach. And those 3 guys have really kind of energized that group a little bit. The guys are playing with a lot of confidence. We have a lot of depth, and they know that when they get an opportunity to get in the game, they need to make a play because we're going to rotate, about 10 guys in there. And so it's kept them fresh. It's kept them, it's created some competition in the room, which is always healthy. And I think the guys are playing hard and playing with a lot of confidence, and I think they're enjoying playing for that coaching group.
And then quickly, Hayden Howerton mentioned over the summer that Tulsa game was kind of a point of emphasis all off season. How much did you notice that in the way the guys worked, and how much was it kind of a focal point of the off season?
Well, I think, I don't think it was as much about Tulsa as it was about us. I mean, look, Tulsa got after us, and you got to give them a lot of credit. As I said earlier, their coaches did a lot better job getting them prepared to play that game than we did. And so when, I think it left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. I know it certainly did mine, and we played that game on Saturday, and typically you have a little bit of a break, with your players, and we didn't do that. We went straight into our off-season conditioning on Monday. We just felt like, we had a lot of work to do, and we wanted to get started. And so, I think just the way that the end of the season unfolded, I think left a bad taste in everybody's mouth for sure. It certainly did mine. I know it did our players, and I think it helped galvanize us a little bit. so, I think it's led to some of the success we've had this year. Certainly led to having a good off season. Our players were very motivated in the off season. Our strength and conditioning coaches did a great job getting them ready, and I think it's carried over.
Thank you, Sonny.
Okay, thanks, Billy.
Coach, we appreciate your time this morning. We look forward to hearing from you once again next Monday.